क्या क्या कैसे हैं? ठीक है।
मैं ठीक हूँ. So we'll wait for a couple of more minutes and then we'll start it.
Good afternoon, sir.
गुड आफ्टरनून.
Hello, good afternoon.
सब
Nice
ठीक
to
है.
see you. How are you, sir?
मैं ठीक हूँ. थोड़ा सा
Okay, good. Yes.
slightly some issues, but otherwise okay.
Ah,
Should I share my file or
No, we'll just
okay?
we'll wait 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Hello, Professor Sopori.
Yes, yes.
Can you start now?
Yes, yes, you can start. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So welcome everyone in this global lecture series. As all of you, those who are attending, we know it that this is a joint event now between the International Bioprocessing Association, which is quarters is in France, and Christian Laroche is its administrator. He is present there, and the Biotech Research Society, that India, and Professor Sopori is the president of Biotech Research Society. So first, I request Professor Sopori to welcome Professor Muhammad Tahir Jade, and then request Professor Christian Laroche to also welcome Professor Tahir Jade. After that, I'll give a brief introduction of Professor Tahir Jade, and then we'll proceed on to this presentation. Over to Professor Sopori.
Thank you. Ashok, I think it's a great pleasure to welcome Professor Mohammad Azad. I think we really appreciate that you could take our time and address us on the topic which we are going to talk today. We are very grateful that you will be delivering next lecture. I really look forward to your lecture. Welcome again, and over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Sopori. Christian, over to you.
Hello, everybody. To start, I would like to welcome this new kind of webinar, which is common to BSI and IBA. I hope it will be a success. And to start this series, I acknowledge, of course, Mohammad Tahrzadeh, who will speak about, I don't remember what, but on BioWest, I think. And okay, I hope everybody will enjoy this presentation.
Thank you, Christian. So before we proceed, I would like to very briefly introduce Professor Mohammad Tahirjadeh, which is not a unknown figure for the members of IBA or BRSI. But it's a pleasure to introduce to you him formally. Professor Tahirjadeh is a professor in bioprocess technology in the University of Borås in Sweden since 2004, and is the director of a research school at Swedish Center for Resource Recovery. Professor Tahirjadeh has a PhD in bioscience, and his basic education has been in chemical engineering. So it's a great mix of this engineering and science. He has been doing research on interdisciplinary areas, particularly his focus on resource recovery has been one of the first in entire world. And as you have heard, that he, he 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 is the uh, he is the director of resource recovery. I think one of the first center in the entire world where resource recovery became as a kind of school or center. And his focus has been on anaerobic digestion, but also expanding on waste to wealth, looking for the production of high value chemicals and fuels, including ethanol or different kind of organic acids, looking at biochemical reactions, thermochemical reactions, biohydrogen, etc. So it's a great pleasure that we have today Professor Tahir Jade, who shall be talking on primarily anaerobic digestion and giving us a glimpse of an overview as well as his own work in this domain. So, Mohammed, welcome in this series, and thanks indeed for accepting the invitation to deliver this talk under Global Lecture Series of IB and BRSI. Now, over to you, Mohammed, for your lecture.
Thank you very much, Ashok, and also Christian and Sostopori for this invitation. And I will share my file, and I hope you can see that, or?
Yes, you can see. Please proceed. You can make it full screen.
Yes. Okay. Is it full screen now, or?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I will talk about this, the topic that we have, this anaerobic digestion biorefinery, and I will try to cover the whole topic a little bit from the past and then what is happening now and then what we will have in the future. So how to develop this technology and knowledge. As you can see, my name is Mohammed Tahir Zadeh, and I come from University of Borås, which is in the southwest of Sweden, and Swedish Center for Resource Recovery. If you want to see a little bit more information about myself, everything is on my website, which is tahirzadeh.se. So you can also have the link to the university and whatever that we are doing. But a couple of slides about our university and the city. Here in this slide, you can see this city of Borås, with the different seasons from this summer, winter, spring, and fall. So it is quite beautiful by its own in different way. And the university, which is also located almost center of the city, we have about 18,000 students. It's a middle-sized university in Sweden. And we are advanced in three areas, which is one of them is about textile, another one is library, and the third one is resource recovery. So this is this three unique areas of research that we have at this university. But the resource recovery that you heard before, that it was established around 20 years ago. It's 2003. And the name that we have is called Swedish Center for Resource Recovery. What we normally do, we take different type of waste and residuals, whatever that could be municipal waste, agricultural waste, forestry waste, industrial waste, and so on. And we develop different technology and methodology to convert them into value-added product. So what we do is that in principle, we are converting waste to resources that go back to the society. I've been leading this center for many years until this last summer, and but I'm still responsible for this my own research group, which is a biotechnology group, that we are using different microorganisms to convert this material to the value-added product. On this product side, as you can see, we have this different bioenergy, that we have biogas or ethanol, or material, which is biopolymers and food and feed. And practically, since many years ago, we are focusing on two different group of microorganisms, which is one of them is anaerobic bacteria, which is in anaerobic digestion, and another one is the filamentous fungi that we are working in parallel in our group. But our vision, which is, I think, the most important, say, message that we have is that waste is a resource, but our knowledge is not enough to utilize it. So the border of this between waste and resource is knowledge. So if you have the knowledge to use it, it's a resource. If you don't have this knowledge, it's the waste that you threw it away. So if we can develop the knowledge, so practically we convert this waste to resource. So in our mind, there is no waste, there is only resources, but we have to develop the knowledge to use it. And I think if everybody think in that way, so we will have plenty of resources everywhere. If you look at on this, what we have around us, we produce something around 2.5 billion tons of municipal waste in the world. In addition to that one, you can talk about this industrial waste, mining waste, wastewater, and so on. So a huge amount of this waste that are produced in the form of this solid material, liquid material, and also this gaseous phase all together. This is a typical picture of a landfill that I took it some years ago. And you can see from the middle, you can see a small car which is in the middle, this garbage truck, and then you can imagine that huge it is. So there are some scavengers that try to pick up whatever that would be, say, valuable in this material. And this type of picture we have almost everywhere in the world, similar. But what we are going to talk here is about anaerobic digestion that is a historical, actually, resource recovery method. It's not a new. We talk about, I try to dig history, at least 3,000 years old, that we have this knowledge that the people have used it to heat up water, and by Assyrians in the Middle East. And it could be even earlier, but we don't have, I couldn't find anything, but at least 3,000 years old, which is this technology. But what is this technology? If I put everything very, very simple, anaerobic digestion, or AD that we call it, you have practically a vessel which is anaerobic, where you don't provide air or oxygen. You put this, your raw material, it's normally waste or wastewater, not always, but normally. And then you get two type of product. That one is biogas, another is a fertilizer. That is a typical one. If you think about the solid material, usually we talk about around 70% can become biogas, and 30% end up in the fertilizer. If you think a little bit more complicated of the same picture, you can see in the raw material, you can put this agricultural residuals and like manure, slurry, etc. Or you can have energy crops, which is more valuable, like a grass, maize, beets, and so on. You put this vessel, you keep it for a long time. Normally we take about 1 month, it's a rule of thumb. You produce some gas, which we call it biogas, and then it goes to this different way that is used. You can just direct burning for cooking, lightening, heating, or cooling, and so on. Or you can put it in this gas burners, these engines to produce cogeneration, that is called, to produce electricity and also thermal heat, if you can use it. Or the latest technology that we have, you upgrade it to biogas. You can use it directly for vehicle, or you can use it as a feed into the gas grid. Normally in form of compressed form, or in this liquefied form, so they call it LBG or CNG or CBG. The rest of the material that you have this, you can use it normally as a biofertilizer, which is also depends on the quality of your feedstocks. Sometimes you have to throw it away, but usually it's a fertilizer. You can use it directly by the farmers, or you can just have different type of treatment, like for example, this increasing the concentration, composting, and so on to get the fertilizer out of it. But what happens inside this reactor, we put whatever that we have, like a food waste, a sludge, lignocellulose, manure, and so on. the first thing that will happen, you have these are all these macromolecules. You have some kind of hydrolytic bacteria which convert them into a smaller molecules like sugars, fatty acids, amino acids, and so on. Then you have other microorganisms that they convert them into these volatile fatty acids. These microorganisms, they are called acidogens and acetogens. Acidogens, they convert them normally to from caproic acid, which is C6, until a smaller one, valeric acid, propionate, butyric, and so on. And the next group, that is acetogens, they convert them to this acetic acid and hydrogen. And finally, you have this last group, which convert this acetic acid and hydrogen to biogas. This is something happening, and all these microorganisms, there's a perfect synergies that they are working together in order to convert our waste material into the biogas. One thing that you should keep in mind in the beginning, that you have the first groups, that it is hydrolytic bacteria, acidogens, and acetogens are normally facultative, and these methanogens are normally obligatory anaerobes. So it means that if you have little bit of the oxygen, usually the first groups are working, but the last group is get difficulty, and then they cannot grow any longer, the methanogens. This is one important factor that we should keep in mind. But this technology actually, it looks pretty complicated, and actually it is one of the, if you think about the science, it is maybe one of the most complicated system in terms of this microorganism, microflora, that you have all these synergies, that you have this chemical engineering, you have different phases, mass transfer, and so on. And that is quite a complex process. But if you look at the beauty of part is that if you look at on what you can make it, actually this type of technology is not so difficult. I put some pictures. This is this simplest one that I have. It is some kind of anaerobic bacteria, anaerobic digester, that someone create this condition that you have with this system that you can see create this anaerobic condition, and the gas comes out from this top side. If you make it a little bit more complicated here, you can see that it is the homemade that are used in different countries, particularly tropical country, that this one is used. You can feed in from this part, the feeding point, and then you can take this digested out from the other side. And this the level of this liquid that you have inside, the maximum level, it is almost similar to this digested out. So normally we take about 1 cubic meter as a typical size, and the gas comes out from the other side. If you don't empty the gas, so it can push down this the liquid, it works, and many homes that actually they have such a kind of system. It could be a little bit more complicated. You can take the same system as you can see in this picture. The people, they put a heating coil in order to control the temperature of if you get a little bit colder, it doesn't work, so you have to work in normally mesophilic or thermophilic condition. So this is you make it a little bit more complex, and the system that it is quite often in many countries that we have a digester that are built underground. It's like a dome. And this is a guy who is building such a kind of reactor with the bricks. Or if you look at on this reactor, which is a little bit more completed one, not fully complete yet, but you can see that it is made from this concrete and the bricks, this dome-based. And normally typical size, you talk about this 100 cubic meter for such kind of reactors. One important point in this factor, in this reactor, is that you don't have any mixing in such kind of reactors. You have natural mixing by feeding, and then the gas which is are formed. So you create some such kind of mixing inside the reactor. Another one that we developed it here in our university together with one textile company, and it is now sold in many different countries. It is some kind of textile digesters that the material is textile, but it's have different type of coating in order to keep the condition to be resistant against all the microorganisms inside and the weather outside and so on. And normally, the typical size of such kind of reactor, it is between 10 to 100 cubic meter. Perfect size for canteens or if you want some kind of temporary biogas and so on. If you make it a little bit more complex, you have this type of farm-based bioreactor. So this one, for example, is 500 kilowatt, which is for agricultural feedstocks, which is very common in, for example, Germany. You make, you cultivate whatever you can have it in your farm, and then you collect the material, and then, as you can see in this green part, you collect it, and then you feed in slowly through the year into your reactor. You produce biogas, and then you burn the biogas and then produce electricity and sell electricity to the grid, or you can upgrade it and then sell this pure gas to this also gas grid. That is also, this type are very common. If you make it a little bit more complete, this is one typical more advanced digester. This picture is from Denmark that actually I took it a few days ago. And this reactor is biogas. It's for food waste. So the food waste which is coming, so they have some kind of treatment, and then it goes to a different type of reactor. So the food waste from home or municipal, and also some from agriculture waste, that is everything coming here, and then they produce biogas, upgrade it, and then sell it to the system. But if you put together, we have something around 60 million home-based digesters, the small one, and something around 30 to 40,000 industrial digesters in the world, the big one, as you can see in these pictures. But especially this home digester, many of them are not working. If I make some kind of wild guess, I think something around maybe 40 to 50 million of them are not working, and around 10 to 20 million are working. This number is a little bit better for this digester. And it's because the system is a little bit complicated, and if there is no knowledge, you have difficulty actually to run it. But if you see that what we have, the potential that we have in the world, these numbers, it is mainly for this industrial digester, not considered as a homemade. The production that we have, it is something equal to 35 million tons. And if you see this biogas potential, it is something around 15 times more, 570 million tons equivalent. And if you add into this thermochemical processes, from this especially lignocellulosic material, then you can have this biomethane potential, which is something about 730 million tons. So it means that actually that what we are producing today, it is something about 5% of the potential that we have. So this technology, it is not used as it could be. But those are the big ones that we have in this in the world, especially the industrial one. As you can see that Europe is the biggest one at the moment. They use this crops, this dark blue part, and then you have also animal manure, that is quite a lot. Then you have this green part, which is manual municipal waste solid, and also this wastewater, which is the yellow part. In China, which is also growing quite a lot, especially for this animal manure and the municipal waste, which is growing. US, it is especially municipal solid waste. And then you have the rest of the world, which is they are producing, but still not so much as it could be. But there are other ways actually to produce biogas, and I think that is important to keep in mind this part, which is pretty critical. I put this picture from a landfill. That is, I took this picture some years ago. It was a landfill that you can see the gas it is producing, and also it is continuously we had some kind of explosion. So methane and air was mixed, and then it's exploded. So I could hear it almost every few minutes, one explosion there. And then this is the exhaust gas which was evolved. And then in order to stop this type of problem, and also stop the leachate problem that many countries and many of the landfills, they cover the landfills with some plastic or whatever that they have available. This is one example that I took the picture. And also, since the gas is also produced quite a lot, they put this type of pipeline that you can see. And this pipeline, you produce the methane gas, which is this landfill gas, contains something around 50% methane. And you should also keep in mind this landfill gas. Methane is, if you consider the greenhouse gas effect, it is something around 21 times more than carbon dioxide. It is a short-lived pollutant, which is quite strong. But the first question, actually, that it is also quite common in the world that can we recover this landfill gas? In this picture that you can see, it is not recovered. It is just go to the air. Number that is could be interesting for you. I made a calculation that how much would be the gas in this landfill, and in this specific one, it produced something around the 40,000 cubic meter of this landfill gas per hour. Think about it. I talk about 40,000 cubic meter per hour that is produced in this landfill gas, and just go to the air. And that is one of the major, actually, greenhouse gas effect that we have in the world. But then in order to stop this problem, this recovery of landfill gas has been an issue for many countries, and many of landfill, they have invested in recovery of the landfill. What is normally done, they put some kind of pipe inside the landfill, and then they collect the gas. It goes through some kind of gas cleaning, and then it goes to this gas engine to burn the gas and then produce electricity, which is quite good, I would say. But there are some challenges. There are two major challenges that this landfill gas has. One of them is this, since you are collecting the gas from the landfill, some air also come into the system, and then you will have something around some nitrogen and oxygen. If I give you a very rough number, this landfill gas contains something around 10% nitrogen and very little bit of the oxygen. And then you have also some kind of solid particle, which is called siloxane. And that is abrasive for this engine. So when it goes to this gas engine, that is quite dangerous. Actually, it can make this corrosion of this or erosion of this gas engine, and they hate it. So because of this two problem, the application is quite limited, and then the recovery of this landfill gas becomes relatively expensive. And what they do is that there are normally three type of technology that are used. One of them is you have gas engine. After this cleaning of the gas, it goes through this gas engine. This is just one typical example. That's a 200 or 300 kilowatt electricity, the capacity. Another one, which is a little bit less common, is a turbine, which is a gas turbine that they can use. And this is just one picture that you can see in the middle. Or if you cannot use it, but at least you want to improve this effect on this greenhouse gas emission, then you can flare it, you can burn the gas, and that is what you have in this picture. So there's the flare is also quite common. If you want to burn it, then you don't have the problem with this gas cleaning, just the raw gas that comes out, just you can just burn it like this. But you don't produce anything out of it, so you don't have any gas recovery actually. But then one issue which comes in, can we merge this biogas technology that we discussed and also this landfill? And that is some technology that it started around 20, 30 years ago. And since last decade, it became more and more popular. And that is something which is called dry digestion. So what you have here is that if you compare these two technology, if we talk about the wet digestion or wet fermentation, you have a slurry in this picture on this left, which is something around 10% solid material, 90% is water. So you can see it's a pretty liquid. But if this material contains much higher content of the solid material, which will become dry digestion, which is the picture on the right, which is normally contain around 30 to 50% of this dry matter or the total solid. If you want to use this wet fermentation, all this technology that I showed you before, they are wet fermentation. What we normally do, or all this technology they feed into the system, like for example in this reactor, they feed in this TS or dry weight around 10 to 12%, that is for the feed. part of the material inside they are converted to biogas, so the total solid become less. So the one which goes out, it is typically around 3 to 4% which goes out in these reactors if it works properly. But if you work with dry digestion, then you feed in with this 30 to 50%, and the one which goes out could become a slurry around 5 to 17%. And for dry digestion, there are different technologies. That one of them is called the batch digestion, which was developed earlier. So it is a little bit older technology, but it's still used in some places. That you have, it's practically like a room. You can see in the picture below. That it's like a room that you have to create some kind of anaerobic condition. So you feed in everything inside, like what you see on the top picture on the top. You feed in, you provide like a water, humidity, and the temperature, and then you close it. When you close it, and then they start to produce the gas, you collect the gas from this pipeline you can see on the roof, and then you put it on the engine and produce electricity. And then after it's finished, you take some of the material out, you keep some of them, and then you mix it with the new fresh material and then close it again. So it works well, but it contains a lot of manual work. So if you have some kind of, if the personal cost would be expensive, so this is maybe not so much economically attractive. In order to solve this problem, we have another technology which was developed that become practically the same thing but continuous. And the first one in this type of technology, it was this anaerobic digestion, which was vertical and vertical continuous. So this reactor that you can see here, you feed in from the top. It's called the Ranco. And then the material, you give the retention time, for example, 1 month. And then during this 1 month, this material go down slowly, and then you collect it from the bottom out. And then you fill it again for this from the top. This is such a kind of this reactor which was used before after this batch digestion. But then this one also was not so popular, and then we didn't get a breakthrough to this development in the world until we got a horizontal reactor, which is pretty the same, but you put it on lying down, which is horizontal. So this is, we have two technology which are work. This technology, which is it's a name Compagas, and in this system, you feed in from one side, and then with the mixer that you have inside, it moves very slowly, and then it push the material toward the front. So you feed in around 30 to 50%, and also you add a little bit of this inoculum in the inlet. The one which goes out depends on your condition that you are running. So typically around 10% would be the TS which goes out. Another technology which is called Stroback, and pretty the same but a little bit different. So you have a back mixing. So you have some kind of mixers inside the reactor. And in this one, you don't need to feed in this inoculum. So it is more like a CSTR reactor. The first one was like a plug flue, and this one is a little bit more CSTR. So because of this back mixing that is provided. So you get a pretty similar condition through this reactor. And both of them are quite popular, and they are used everywhere in the world. So with this horizontal technology, we got a breakthrough, and then now many countries that if they want to install a new digester, and if your raw material, it is some kind of solid material like a food waste, they consider very seriously this dry digestion, because you don't have wastewater, you don't have actually your water consumption becomes much less. But this is something that this dry digestion, this one that I told you, it happened, we say, practically in the last decade. We got a breakthrough, and now it is getting more and more popular. But then we go to this next phase, that is now we have a lot of research going on, and then we start to see slowly also some kind of pilot, and then demo plant, and then become more and more technologies. So if you look at our reactor again here, so what we have done so far in this biogas industry, We have a material which are easy to digest. We feed in to the reactor, and then we get this biogas or methane out, which is for energy purpose. And also we have this rest of the material that we call a fertilizer or biofertilizer. This is the current technology that this is the state of the art in industrial scale. But if you look at, and if you want to convert the same technology into biorefinery, we can develop it further. What we can do on this raw material side, we can have this, we can give this material which are not easy to digest, like for example, it could be toxic material or hard to digest material or even indigestible material, all of them together. And also on the product side, you can produce other things. You have this, in addition to the methane, you can also think about hydrogen. You can combine it with volatile fatty acid and also other nutrients. And then it gives you a little bit of the flexibility of the product. In this way, the question is that what you have and then what you want. Not only one specific raw material and one specific product, which is biogas has difficulty to sell because of the movement, not so easy. But if you can produce other type of product and also you can bring in other type of material, it become quite attractive business for the industry. And then actually I believe that it become a new boom into this industry and a huge investment that will happen. So if you look at some example of this raw material side, if you consider something which is easy to digest, I take for example sugar or starch. If you feed in the starch, everything will go through to all this reaction that I mentioned before. And then you put, for example, 1 kilogram of starch, you get something about 410 liter of methane and then 410 liter of this CO2. So it means that you get something on 820 liter of this product, which is a biogas, which is contain around 50% of the methane. So this is in theory, and in practice, you get almost the same, not a big difference. But if you take something which is not so, material which is not so easy to digest, I take like, for example, citrus waste. Everybody love this orange juice or the citrus juice. And then if you take 1 kilogram of this, for example, orange juice, then you produce something about 1 kilogram also of citrus waste. But I put this figure that you compare this food waste with citrus waste, you can see how much methane that you get. The numbers are not comparable. From citrus waste, you get much, much less. And if you have a little bit too much of the citrus waste, the system totally fail. But what is citrus waste? You can see that you have some kind of glucose, fructose is as sugars, glucose, galactose, arabinose, and xylose, which are as hemicellulose. And also you have galactonic acid, which is as pectin. All of them are perfect actually for anaerobic digestion. But why it failed? Well, what is the problem here? And the problem is in the peel oil, which is contained around 90% limonene, and also the whole peel oil is a flavor that is, this is the smell of this, for example, orange. It contains around the major component is limonene, D-limonene. And if you consider this citrus waste contain around 0.5% of this limonene, and it makes it actually quite toxic. It is so toxic which it kill all this anaerobic bacteria. So if you put this citrus waste into this biogas, and if we look at on the whole system that we discuss here, what is the problem? We see that this microorganisms, which are a little bit more sensitive in the first and methanogens, and then also acidogens and acetogens, they are the weak point of this system, and then it fails. So it means that the first part could work, but then you don't get any methane because of this failure of such kind of microorganisms. They are too sensitive. And then this limonene can kill them. And that is actually its job, because if you have, for instance, if you have a citrus hanging on the fruit, orange, this flavor has the function in order to save it against all this mold, bacteria, and all the other microorganisms until it's matured. And so this is it has a function, and if you put it in the bioreactor, then it fails. If you take another example, we take, for example, lignocellulosic material, like, for example, wood material or all the agricultural residuals. What is this material? if you take, for example, a plant, it contains of this plant a cell wall, and this cell wall, they have normally this three layers. This we call a primary layer and the secondary and tertiary layers. The thick one is the secondary layers. If you look at it in the microscope, then you see that it is made of fibrils. And then each fibrils, it's made of microfibrils. And if you look at a microfibril, you see that it is made of this cellulose chain, which is cellulose. You know that it is a polymer of glucose. And also you have hemicellulose around it, which is a polymer of different sugars, like glucose, galactose, mannose, and xylose here. Or if you have, and also you have around it, you have lignin, which is actually fill up the whole, we say, empty space here, and also it is quite hydrophobic and quite resistant. So if I put this piece of wood or this agricultural material inside to the digester, what will happen here? You can see that, yeah, the similar things, I would say that we have also keratins, that you have, for example, this chicken feather, or you have this wool, or if you have, for example, this human hair. These are the proteins, and these proteins, they are called keratin, and they have also quite a crystalline structure. That is, you can see in the two different forms. You have this alpha helix and also beta sheets, and it makes it quite resistant. You know, for example, this if you have human hair, for example, when someone passed away, that if you take out from the grave after so many years, maybe 100 years, everything is gone except the hairs are still there. And wool is the same, it is quite resistant. So what is similar actually between this category and the previous one, this two, it is the crystallinity that we call it recalcitrance effect. So this is this carbohydrate which are recalcitrant, and this is the protein which is also recalcitrant. Both of them that they have the same problem. If you put them in the same system, you put in the reactor, the problem is the first category. So you have this hydrolytic bacteria, which is they have difficulty and they cannot break it down. And since they cannot break down, you can, for example, if you put a piece of wood and then you, maybe after 1 month, you can just take it out almost as it is. It is not degraded. But if they can degrade this part, then the rest can do the job, this other microorganisms, and then you can break this to biogas. So what we need is that we know some kind of pre-treatment to remove all this challenge with this hard material or materials are hard to digest or toxic material, like, for example, the citrus waste. And there are plenty of these different pre-treatments. Some of them are physical pre-treatment. You can pull them in different categories of this milling, irradiation, or this hydrothermal, this hydropressure steaming, expansion, and so on. Or you can put a mixture of this chemical and physical treatment together, or only pure chemicals. Like, for example, you can treat it with explosion, like a steam explosion, which is still physical, but you have some kind of explosion, or together with some other components, like, for example, ammonia, or this carbon dioxide, or SO2, which is quite common in industry. Or you can add some kind of high pH, like alkali, which is sodium hydroxide, ammonia, ammonium sulfide is quite common, or acids or different gases that you can see, or even high oxidizing agent, like, for example, hydrogen peroxide, ozone, and so on. And we get also some more chemicals there, which I don't go through, but it is make it very common. In total, we have something around 40 different pre-treatment methods that could be used here. Then, if material are not digestible or very low biodegradable, even this pre-treatment could be difficult, or it doesn't work at all. So what to do? For example, if I take, for instance, plastics, or if I take a big piece of wood, I put in the reactor. If you take, for example, you put a bottle of water, plastics especially, which is quite difficult with all this anaerobic digestion plant. You put in the reactor, you wait for 1 month, you take out everything else, it is converted, and the plastic will stay as it is. Your water bottle, it is exactly as the same. Nothing happened to it. So it means that this hydrolytic part, it is not active. They cannot break down these large molecules, and it doesn't work. But what else that you can do here? You can go to the parallel method, which is more a thermochemical process. You can take this material like a wood or plastic. You can do gasification and then produce syngas, which is this mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Normally, you have also carbon dioxide with it. These three are usually together. And also, you have a little bit of other impurities. That it should go through this some kind of a cleaning of this raw gas, and then you put it in the catalytic conversion to produce methane. This technology, I would say, at least for wood that I know it is existing, and it has been tested in a larger demo plant, but it is quite expensive actually. And the problem is this second part, is the cleaning of the gas and also making exactly the same, the ratio that you want. It's important to have a specific ratio of carbon monoxide and hydrogen through this catalytic conversion and no other impurity because they are toxic to the catalysis. So it makes it quite expensive, this two technology. So it means that if you have such a kind of material, the first one, which was anaerobic digestion, it is not effective, it doesn't work. The second one, that it could work, but it is quite expensive. So economically, it doesn't work. So one of them technically, another one is economically. Then we say that it came actually to another idea, is that we take this technology and then we remove these parts which are expensive or doesn't work. So the first part of anaerobic digestion, I remove it, and the second part, which is expensive part of this thermochemical process, which I remove it. Gasification, it is not expensive, it is quite common. And the other part of this anaerobic digestion was also could work. So what we can do, actually, we can connect these two to each other. You can take such kind of material, it can go through this gasification, and then you produce syngas, and then you convert this with the help of this microorganism, and then produce biogas. This technology has been, I would say, that has been studied since almost 10, 15 years ago. And then there are different groups that are developing different way, and they are solving different type of technical issues. And I would say that it is quite mature now. If we say that in combination with other technology, it can come to the market. Actually, it is the current technology, it is quite attractive to come to the market as it is now. Then we come to this to the next phase of this the work, which is can we produce any other product with all this technology than the biogas or methane that we have discussed here. And what we have here is that if you consider this, what I told you, that you put all these things and then you put it into this process, and then you make the material onto the biogas. Something that we can do, we can focus on intermediate material, and the attractive intermediate material here is this, especially volatile fatty acid and hydrogen that it could be produced. I don't talk about hydrogen because it is already established. A lot of people have worked on hydrogen production, which is the technology is called dark fermentation. But we couldn't actually get it in the larger scale because of it has difficulty to compete with this hydrogen production. The yield is relatively low, and then it has difficulty to compete with other technology, because if the goal is to produce only hydrogen, not the other things. But the combination, if you think about the biorefinery, although I don't talk about hydrogen, hydrogen could be an interesting and attractive part of the whole biorefinery. I will talk a little bit more about the other part, which is a little bit less known on this volatile fatty acids here. So if you want to do like this, what I mean is that you produce volatile fatty acid, and then you use it for different purposes here. But before I talk about this, what to do is the volatile fatty acid by itself. It is a mixture of different acids from 2 carbon, which is this acetic acid, until this propionic, which is 3 carbon, butyric 4, valeric 5, and caproic or hexanoic acid, which is 6 carbon. These are pretty common that are produced, and depends on your method that you are using, your feedstock, rock condition, everything. You can have maybe majority or the domination of one of the group. For example, acetic acid could be dominant, or maybe you can have domination of the other material, or a total mixture of everything. So, and this material could be used as a mixture, or it could be used as a separate one from each other. And I will talk a little bit. You can see what I will some of the application that we are working on. But you can imagine that also if you consider this the mixture of the individual also acids, each of them they are the chemical commodities. Acetic acid has a very large market in, for example, solvent, chemical, food, and so on. Propionic acid is very large market on the paints, butyric acid, perfume, and so on. So these are all of them, they are a commodity and they are actually quite valuable material if you produce them separately. So it means that you can use them together or you can separate them and then you can sell them to the market separately. So, but if you want to produce them, what could we do here? If the process that you have, these are intermediate product. It means that they are produced continuously and they are consumed continuously. So if you want to produce them, you have to boost their production to make more and more volatile fatty acids. And also you have to inhibit this consumption part. So, and these two, you should do it together. So you produce a lot of volatile fatty acid, and then they shouldn't be converted to biogas. When you do it, then you have to, the hydrogen is produced, and then also it come out by itself because the gas, but these volatile fatty acids are inside the liquid, and then you have to extract them out from the system. And you can also play with your condition to produce more hydrogen or more volatile fatty acids, so they are not competing with each other. Normally we have both of them, but you can have more or less one or the other one in your system. But if you want to increase the concentration or accumulated for boosting, you can normally you can work with some kind of a pure culture. That is, some groups are working with, especially if you have some kind of material that could pure culture could consume them, it could work. Or you can work with bioaugmentation for mixed culture to enhance it with some kind of microorganism, and then you can produce more. Then, for this inhibition of the methanogen, there are different ways. And these methanogens, they are quite sensitive, I told you before. So you can have some kind of chemical like a BES, which is very common. You add a little bit of the ppm level, and then it kill all the methanogens. Or you can easy way that you can work with little bit higher pH or lower pH. Practically, if it's less than 6 or more than 8, normally you don't have them. Temperature variation, like a heat shock, also you can kick them out. Or if you work with low hydraulic retention time, for example, for biogas production, normally you need around 30 days. But if you work, for example, for 10 days, then the methanogen, they have no possibility to grow because they have a very long doubling time. Or you can work with this high organic retention, organic loading rate. Or you can have a little bit of oxygen. You remember what I told you in the beginning, these methanogen, they are strict anaerobic. So if you have little oxygen, actually you kick them out. If I give you one example out of this, all these factors that I just try to brief you a little bit about it, and I take only, for example, pH in one experimental results, you can see if in this example, for example, we work with the pH 4, 5, and 6, and then if you have this pH, you can see that pH 4, we got around 0.2 yield gram VFA per gram of this VS of the substrate. But if you increase for example, change the pH 6, you get around 0.8. And if you work with pH 7, practically you get nothing because everything is converted to biogas. So just playing with the simple pH, then you can produce plenty of this volatile fatty acids. And then the second question is that you have to take them out. And that is actually one issue that we could develop it at our university. And many people have tried this a different way, like, for example, centrifugation or adsorption, like on activated carbon or different type of resins, or chemical extraction. And also the membrane process, that was the latest one, which is now is getting more and more common, and then different groups are using. In this membrane one, that what you should do is that you use membrane bioreactor to produce volatile fatty acids. So you do the same thing, you put this membrane inside, and then you inhibit this biogas formation, and then you extract continuously this material. We developed it some years ago that if you go back 10, 15 years ago, this system could work maybe only for 1 hour, nothing longer, because the whole system was usually this clog the membrane. But we could develop a system that could work for years without any stop, and also with very high TS. You can work, we have tried up to TS 20, which is extremely high material. But if you run, for example, TS around 10, it can work forever without any problem. But how it works in this picture, I just put you some kind of to see how it works. The membrane look like this, the membrane panel on the bottom, and then this is a picture of our reactor. You put this membrane inside, and then there's a membrane that this is the black part in this picture. So when you start to create some kind of transmembrane pressure, practically you suck the liquid out from the system, and then you create some kind of millibar pressure difference. So you get this liquid out of this reactor. And then if you choose the right pore size, then you don't have any problem with the, we say it is quite pure, and then you can keep them pretty long time without any problem with it. And if you want to put the reactor not inside the reactor, you want to put it out of the reactor, this is another example that we use the tubular membrane, but you can use practically any other kind of membrane. So in this example, we pump the material from the reactor through this membrane, and then it go through to the membrane and then come out back to the reactor. So this pump work continuously. And then when we start the second pump, you can see that we create this transmembrane pressure, and then you this difference in the pressure, some of the material pass through the membrane, and then you collect some kind of pure material inside this container that you can see, for example, it look like this. So I would say the things that you get out of the reactor, inside the reactor is normally some kind of black material. Out of the reactor, it is something look like, I don't say water, but something like a green tea, or that you can see in this picture how it look like. And if you make another membrane filtration, then it becomes totally transparent. It look like a water which contains this VFA. So if I give you just one result that you can see how it look like, if you take this reactor and then you put some kind of food waste, and then you work with organic loading rate 2.5 gram per liter per day, and you change the pH, and then control the pH for 5.5, and then you put this membrane inside, and then you increase this organic loading rate. You increase it to 4. You can see that we could get continuously something around 10 to 15 gram per liter volatile fatty acids. We go for 6, we get higher, to 8 higher, and then to 10 higher. And then we could say that we could get continuously something about 40 gram per liter volatile fatty acid. And then when you come to this level of concentration, actually that would be quite interesting for many industry that you can get. And then you could use it for many different things. We have worked with many different type of materials, like food waste, that is I can say the easy one. Toxic one, like citrus waste, that we have worked a lot. And then work with the cow manures, which contains a lot of lignocellulosic material. Chicken manure, something which contains a high amount of this nitrogen. Wastewater sludge, or even indigestible material. So we work with many different type of things for several years, and we have many publications on this works. But then let's say now you've done this work, and now you have a lot of this volatile fatty acid. The question, what you can do with it? And that is the interesting part, which I show you some of the work that we are doing, but I can tell you it's like we say drop into the sea, because there are so many applications, so many possibilities that could be done. If you work with this wastewater treatment, especially this when you want to have a complete wastewater treatment, in addition to reducing this COD and BOD, then you have to also do this denitrification. And the goal is to remove this nitrogen, and then you have normally 2 steps. The first step called nitrification, which ammonia is converted to the nitrous oxides. And then you have this denitrification, which nitrous oxide, NO3, it is converted to nitrogen. And then you have also this phosphate removal that would be at the end. So your wastewater would be, you come to this acceptable level of this COD, acceptable level of nitrogen, acceptable level of the phosphate. But the problem here, and actually that's why not many countries are doing this work, is that after this nitrification, which is nitrification is aerobic, then when you come to this denitrification, you have this NOx that you have to work with anox tank, so no oxygen, and then in order to consume this NO3. And in order to do that, then they need some kind of methanol or ethanol, some kind of carbon source would be easy to consume. And we have it in Sweden. I would say almost all this wastewater treatment are doing, and many of these European countries, it is this denitrification is part of this wastewater treatment. But we say that something that could be done actually, but they are expensive. It's methanol. If you use methanol, it is fossil-based, which is not good if you calculate this carbon footprint. And if you want to use ethanol, it is quite expensive material. And then it has economical issue for this wastewater treatment plant. So what we say that you can remove actually this material, and then you can put instead of this material volatile fatty acids, and that is quite interesting. And they can produce volatile fatty acids, and then they can use it for this denitrification. So in this method, what could be done practically if you take the waste? For example, if you are in wastewater treatment plant, you have a lot of sludge. You can take this wastewater sludge, put it through anaerobic digestion that is normally available there, but you just add a membrane bioreactor to produce volatile fatty acids enough, and then you use it as a carbon source for your own denitrification. So if they use it, you can see without any additional of this material, they can convert their own sludge in order to get a volatile fatty acid for their own use. Or if they bring other type of waste, like for example, food waste or whatever into their biogas plant, they can also do the same things. The second the second method that we are working is that we convert this volatile fatty acids to PHA, which is our polyhydroxyalkanoid, which is you know that it is some kind of quite interesting, attractive bioplastics. And if you see, for example, if you take this, for example, acetic acid, if you use, it is converted directly to acetyl-CoA, and then within 2 steps, it is converted to this polyhydroxybutyrate. And if you have this other material like butyric or isobutyric or hexanoic, some other method, then it can be converted to hydroxybutyrate. But if you have a little bit higher, like for example, valeric or propionic or isovaleric, it can be converted to the polyhydroxyvalerate. And if you have a mixture of them, like in the normal case, you have a little bit of acetic, little bit of butyric, valeric, and so on, you get a mixture. You have this, you get a polyhydroxyalkanoid because it has little bit butyrate or this valerate and so on. And it has, in this case, actually become quite attractive because it gives you a little bit better properties. So it means that what we can do with this method, we can take this waste, convert it to volatile fatty acids using anaerobic digestion, and then we can use the pure bacteria. I know that there are some groups are working with some kind of mixed culture also for this step, but you can produce this bioplastics in this way, and then with the relatively good quality, which are internal, as you can see in this picture, they are this white part inside this bacteria, which are this bioplastic, and you can see such kind of picture almost everywhere. We have tried this way, and then we have also some publication, but it is still not enough maturity, so we still need a little bit more technical development for this part. The previous one, this one that I told you, it is quite matured, and I would say that it is ready to go for this for industrial trial. This one we need just a little bit more work to do. And the funny part is that this bioplastic that you have it here, it is recycled anaerobically biodegradable. which means that if you have this PHAs, you can put it together with other waste. For example, if you have your food waste, you can put it in this type of plastics, and then you can put it directly to anaerobic digester, and then can be converted to volatile fatty acids. So in this way, you can make some kind of closed cycle, which is quite interesting. The next one, which is quite actually attractive one, that you have this, if you consider animals like cows or ruminant animals in general, they eat grass, and then it goes to the rumen, and then you know that they have this 3 rumens, and this retention time inside this, for example, cow stomach is around 3 days. So within these 3 days, all this material that it goes inside, by chewing it, you have some kind of cutting the size, and then it is by the bacteria in the rumen, they are converted to volatile fatty acids, and then this volatile fatty acid is converted to this absorbed by the body, by the rumen, and then you get milk or whatever that you get this from this material. So practically, this VFA is the energy source of this animals that they eat. And then if something actually goes wrong, and then you have this 2 further conversion of this VFA, it is something that you get methane. That is one difficulty with this type of industries and this animal husbandry. And also within this 3 days, if something which cannot be consumed, you get it from the other side, you get manure. So then we had an idea, can we take actually this material, if we take, for example, this manure, cow manure, and then we convert it, put it in our reactor, and then convert it to this volatile fatty acids, and then give it back to the cows. That was our original idea. And then this is the way that we were thinking. We take this waste, for example, manure, go to anaerobic digestion, produce volatile fatty acid, and then we can take it clean with bacteria-free and everything. And then we get this, since it contains this VFA, it is energy source of this bacteria, of these cows, then we give them like energy drink, like for example in Europe, Red Bull or something, which is quite common. Energy drinks, we give it to these cows, and then to be absorbed directly by the rumen. So we've done a lot of tests, and also with the in vitro digestion, and we got quite attractive results. And then we went to this, we wanted to do this in vivo trial. So the first thing that we had some kind of ethical improvement issues, that we were not allowed to use this manure. So we used some material which are feed grade wastes. And then also this bacteria that we got, we were not allowed to use this because of ethical improvement, although technically possible. But we had to use from this cow stomach. So we took some kind of bacteria from this cow rumen, and then we to produce this part. Then we had another issue that it was, we asked for a cow that how much drink that you need for 1 cow. And then they said we need something around the 70 liter per day. And then you know that if you have in the lab, it is very difficult. So we produce something around 200 milliliter per day. So 70 liter, that was quite a lot. So what we did, we developed a reactor that was a big reactor. This one is 500 liters that we developed, and then we has the extension possibility to 2.5 cubic meter. And then this membrane that you remember that I showed you before, there is now available in the market that you can buy it in some kind of panel. So this panel that you can see in this picture, this is the same type of membrane inside in form of panel that they pack together. And then this one, it has around 7 square meter of this side. Then we took this one and put it inside this reactor, and then became a membrane bioreactor. And then we run it for almost a year, and then we produce a lot of these volatile fatty acids. Cows were too big still, so we couldn't run it with cow, and then we run it with sheep, which is practically another animal with rumen, but a little bit smaller. So we tested with sheep, and then quite interesting results. So now we are still analyzing the result, and hopefully soon that we get some the publication out of this work. But it works quite well, I would say. And then the first proof of concept that I would say that it works and it could be developed. And if we succeed, and then if the ethical approval allows, then we can go also with this original idea that we take from the rumen and also other different type of waste, and then to use it for the same purpose. And the last the work that we have on this volatile fatty acid is that we take this volatile fatty acid produced by anaerobic digestion, and then we put in this pure fungal strain, filamentous fungi. If you remember, I told you half of our group was working with the filamentous fungi. So we use this the same fungi, and then to produce this fungi for this from volatile fatty acids. And since in this liquid that we're feeding also contain a little bit of the other nutrients, so practically it had everything. So we didn't need to add almost anything. So we take this one and then we produce this fungi fish, as you can see in this picture. This the one which is in my hand. It is this fungi which were produced in from this VFA, and then we could convert it to this fish feed and then test it with fish. With this one, that I come to my conclusion, that is anaerobic digestion is an established platform to produce biogas and fertilizer. Hydrogen and volatile fatty acids are a new intermediate product of this volatile fatty acids, which a membrane bioreactor can take it to the industrial scale and then make a lot of new opportunities. And then by the help of this VFA, then we can convert this biogas plant to become biorefinery. That was all from me, and thank you very much. If there would be any question, I will be happy that to answer you, and then you can see here my connections, everything.
So much, Mohammed, for a very elaborate presentation, and in a real world, that is what is much more important, what you have shown. We keep talking about laboratory research and their practical application. So we have now forum open for any question. Either you can put your question in the chat box or can ask directly to Professor Taherzadeh. Hello, Joseph. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. It was a nice presentation, very well, very elaborate.
Thank you.
I just have a small query. You rightly pointed out that if you go for the volatile fatty acid separation, it will add the cost.
Yeah.
Even though you may do some changes in the pH or whatever may be the organism you use. And in such a complex system, your separation of volatile fatty acid, whether you want to have propionic acid or butyric acid, will it be a viable solution or not?
I think the one that we are working now, we say we go with the simple things, like for example, for the wastewater treatment plant, compared to the, for example, price of methanol or ethanol, which is available, that would be, we say, quite viable because the cost is not so much. We don't use energy, very, very little electricity that we use for the pumps, but nothing more practically. We have done a lot of calculations, so for that part, it is viable. And also we are heading a little bit more toward more advanced method. Like for example, if we can get for example, a more concentrate or separated, for example, valeric acid or caproic acid that become much more attractive economically compared to, for example, acetic acid. And I think those things that I showed you here, it is more of this, a lot of this proof of concept and then initial steps. But we looked at, and there are companies that are interested today. We have a lot of discussion with big companies that are interested in order to use this type of technologies in order to get to put it somehow integrated to their process. But if you go, for example, imagine if you want to have this chemicals that you can use acetic acid or ammonia or whatever that are for the chemicals, it is possible, but become more expensive. Yeah, that is, you should go step by step. So if we are still, I would say, if I say from 1 to 100, we are on step 5. So we have 95 steps left. And I hope that this type of presentation open up eyes for many groups that we can work together and then develop these things together with the different way, and then we get more and more attractive to this biogas industry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is one question, Mohammed, that will this technology of VFA generation commercially viable for agriculture residue?
I think so. That is that is our goal, but depends on what type of we say what is the application. I think we should first think about what do you want to do with VFA. That is because VFA for us it is a state of the art. We don't think about VFA at the moment. The question that I think all of us we should think, if you go for agricultural residuals, you can put it in, for example, you can combine it with this wet fermentation or dry digestion, for example, that I mentioned. You can give them enough retention time, and then for what purpose? And that is what is nearby. For example, if you want to have animal feed or different type of chemicals or different type of, this is an open question, and that could be different. So I don't have the answers that at the moment, and the answer depends on what we have available. So my answer case to case could be different. So I have received this type of answer question quite a lot, but the answer is different because we should look at on this the whole context, and in that context, do we have any attractive method or not?
There is another question coming up. Can we stop fermentation in between just after VFA formed in the reactor and not go further for biogas production?
Yes, this is something that what we do. We use the different ways. For example, we are using, if you take, for example, bacteria, you put it in the reactor. If you use, for instance, heat shock treatment, very simple, no chemical. You kick out these methanogens and then you keep low retention time. There is no methane. So if you want to produce VFA, we never get methane. It is like that. Or if your system is not quite safe, just you add in the beginning, you add a little bit of this chemical BES, and then you don't get methane. So that is quite simple. And there are many different ways to do that, as I told you. This methane inhibition, that is the simplest one.
There's another question. Can you compare economics yield aspects of hydrogen production through anaerobic digestion and microbial electrochemical cells?
I think what I told you in this the presentation, hydrogen by itself, I don't believe in that because it's too expensive, especially, for example, compared to this hydrolysis or the other technologies available. And this industry do not believe in that, the dark fermentation. But if you consider, for example, you take this VFA and then you put it as a part of biorefinery, I think that would be quite attractive, and then we can boost this hydrogen production in this way. So dark fermentation through biorefinery, for example, you get this VFA, MEC, hydrogen, everything together. That I think that would be quite attractive. That is, I believe in biorefinery. That could be a solution to make this technology, not hydrogen by itself, not biogas by itself. And also another issue that a couple of days ago I was talking with the industry. One important issue is that what is the price that they put on the raw material? So if you come to like a toxic material or material which are normally as not used, they can have a better price, and that is big business for the industry. So if you come to that level of the discussion, I think you can make a very good and attractive suggestion to the industry.
Well, there is another question that how can we reduce water consumption in the biorefinery platform?
I think if we combine this VFA production, as I told you, with the dry digestion, these two technology, then this is we say still not well developed yet. In this way, I think that is the solution that we can have for the future. So if some groups that would be interested to work on these things, then I can help you a little bit, give some tips and way how to do that, and then you can develop it further. That is, but because I believe myself, water is that everybody talk about energy, but I think energy was yesterday. Tomorrow is water. Water is more important. And the biogas industry and all the biotechnology industry consume a lot of water. So we should be a little bit more careful how much water that we put in the process.
Well, this question was, Mohammed, by your former student or collaborator. Okay. The next question is from Christian. There is a French company called FRN, which already produces VFA by anaerobic digestion. Have you contact with them?
No, I don't remember if I talked to them, but if they are interested, I would be happy to talk to them, and then maybe we can do something together.
Probably, Christian, you can try to put them together to connect them. It will be very interesting. It could be very interesting.
Okay, we will discuss about that.
Yeah. When any other question? Anybody? Poonam, any question from you? Joseph? Well, there is another question coming. What steps can be used to separate fungal biomass and waste when this type of low biodegradable waste is used?
If the material are not degradable, or like a plastic or wood or such kind of things, my recommendation is to go through the thermochemical process, so to gasify the material and then focus on syngas. And now we have a project running on this using this syngas, so you can produce biochar and then you get syngas, and then a combination of the syngas for the goal is to get fish feed. I think that is the future of that what could be done.
Okay, we'll just take one more question which has come. What strains of filamentous fungi you are using for conversion of volatile facetious product to used in fish feed?
We have used different type of edible strains that I would say the best one that is working Aspergillus oryzae that we are working, but we also work with different type of Rhizopus and Neurospora and so on. But if I remember Aspergillus oryzae, that was the most robust one that we have worked with, and so and we have published, I think, this result, so that is quite interesting.
Okay, with I think unless somebody has one more question, otherwise we'll close this session. And Professor TP Singh, are you there?
I have a question here.
Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to find out if this technology is being implemented in other countries across Europe, or it's just in Sweden. Is it also being implemented in countries like Norway, for example?
Have it in different, different countries. Now it is still in the pilot scale and then demo scales. But it is since different companies are interested for different purposes, I believe it's coming to the market. For example, if I would say that if you would ask me 10 years ago, it was not available at all. Since 3-4 years ago that we got this, for example, the membrane that are produced commercially. Now you can buy the membrane yourself. And I know that, for example, different countries that are using such kind of technology, like, for example, in Italy, Switzerland, or the different groups that I know that they are working, so they have been in contact with us in different way. They are using, so it is getting more and more popular, and it is not expensive. I would say that this, for example, the membrane by itself, it is not expensive, and the rest of the thing, it is like you need just a reactor plus the pump that is usually available, and the membrane are cheap, and then it works well. But you need the one issue is that you need the knowledge how to use the membrane. Otherwise, after a day, it is clogged. So, and that is something that we can help you, or you can read our publication that how we used it, and then you can use the same, or just you can contact us, we'll tell you how to use it. Or you can come here, we will show you. And it is not secret.
Maybe you can give some short answers. A couple of more pressing questions have come. Can dry anaerobic digestion give yield high or comparative to high water anaerobic digestion?
It is actually the current technology that is used, especially this horizontal, like this Compagas or Schroback, retention time about 1 month, so it is the same as the others. And also you have this, so the reactor is much smaller and the yield is pretty the same. So when a company, when country or this municipality or different companies, they want to invest for a new biogas reactor, dry digestion is a serious issue. It is a concept very seriously. So, and it's getting more and more popular. In Europe now, it is getting very popular, and also it's going everywhere in the world. Because you don't need water, and then if you don't need water, you don't produce a lot of wastewater. And you know, that is a big issue, how much wastewater that you produce, what to do with it. Transportation, you want to give it to the farmer. This huge amount of, for example, a slurry, how to transport it, how much it will cost. So when you consider such kind of things, and also it's enough matured. 10 years ago, it was not mature, but now it is very, very mature. And the companies that are using daily without any problem.
Another question is that for macro production of PHAs, pure culture or mixed culture, what is the better option?
I don't know the answer because we worked a lot with pure culture and with many different type of bacteria. We got a good results, but not as good as I look at it commercially. And I know that some groups are working with mixed culture. They declare that they got some kind of commercially viable results. But I don't know, since I haven't seen them on the market yet, I don't know actually which one is better. Maybe some other people are working more closely. That one could answer better than I do.
One question has come from Professor Sopori. Any work being done to improve the strain, bacteria, or fungi, make them more efficient?
There are a lot of work, but we say that are done. But one issue that we should consider, for example, if you work with fungi and then you work some kind of we say genetic modification, then one issue is that if you want to use them for such a kind of processes which are a little more on the commodity, then you get a problem with this. We say the whole process would be much more expensive, and at least in Europe, it's very conservative to using this GMO. Very conservative. US is better, but here is a little bit more difficult. Yeah, some processes is there, but this cheap product processes not there yet, I think, or would be a little bit difficult. So we have to play a little bit more on this process condition. But I think it's open question that if we can get something and show that it is not dangerous for the environment, can definitely be used. But it takes a lot of work, I believe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed. I have one question, not to do anything with the biorefinery or anaerobic digestion. We just, in this forum, we normally ask the last question with the speaker to share his or her vision from childhood days to his education and to reaching this height of scientific level and contributing so much globally with a huge network, with his students, with collaborators, with many countries. What you would like to say to this forum, or in particular the young researcher?
Difficult actually question that you are making, and then if I want to make an honest answer, it take a long time to show my pathway. I can tell you I didn't want to go to university. That was my first. If you think about the childhood, I had no intention to go to university. But something which I think if you want to be successful in the research, we shouldn't do research for research. We should do research for some kind of innovation. We should have it in mind. So if whatever that I'm gonna do, I think that, okay, if I get this results, how would be this the result economically and sustainability, these two factors, I usually consider it. And if it's attractive, then it's worth to put effort on that. And then usually we have a lot of research, maybe the research by itself is good, but it is become a good publication, nothing more. And I believe more in innovation. I think we have a lot of publication, but innovation, I think, is more attractive because we have to give back to society that how much that we have work and how many publications that we work, but we should come to this point to make it become real product. And that's what my dream is, that to get a lot of this type of real product. So if someone use this, for example, volatile fatty acids, that is, I believe that I will be happy, not with my publication and volatile. So when it's used industrially, so some company or something, okay, I contribute a little bit with this innovation. But if I think everybody think about to consider the economical factor consider sustainability factor from the beginning, the chance of success and then to become something good at the end that will be much higher. That is my personal recommendation to everybody.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Professor Sopori, over to you for closing remark.
Well, thank you. I think it was such a wonderful lecture, and although it's not directly in my area of research, but there was so much to learn. And I think it's technology has proved that the waste is in fact the gold. I think which you can utilize for different purposes, and that's a message. I'm sure that in this country also people should follow up on this. And as you know, the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India has now the keyword which they are talking about is bio innovation and biomanufacturing. I think this is the new policies which are coming up that more and more investment has to be done in this kind of a research. And waste management is, of course, one of the major target of this government, both the agriculture waste and the social waste that we bring up. But we really do not know at the moment how to handle the electronic waste, which is also becoming a major issue in our country. So thank you very much for this wonderful talk, and I think a lot to learn, and hopefully these all the processes which you have developed will come into the industrial scale and will be taken up by different countries, especially the developing countries will benefit from all your. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Christian. Over to you for your closing remark. Christian?
No, I just wish to say that this presentation was very clear, very useful for the present and also for the future. It opened way for new development to improve both the economical aspect of bio-waste valorization and also probably a solution to have a better possibility for climate change. And so I think also that this kind of presentation is a good attempt to have a mix it with Brsi and IBA, and I hope this formula will be able to continue.
Thank you, Christian. So I'd like to take opportunity on behalf of IBA and Brsi to thank you, Mohammed, for your time and such a valuable information which you have shared with the audience. And your point is very clear. Not only science, we need also to consider economic feasibility, and much more perhaps attention must be paid by people who work in energy and environment on sustainability. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we appreciate your time, and I look forward for the next lecture on this series, which will be announced very shortly to all of you. Thanks once again, Mohammed, and thanks everyone. With this,